Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another Real Tony Stark Productions. I'm sorry it's been a couple of weeks since I came with you guys with my Last of Us review, and sorry about that. As I said in the last video or a couple of videos ago, these videos would be spaced out sometimes a couple of weeks apart, and this is one of those times because this video's over 2 weeks, I believe, since the last one I did. This is reviewing episode 4 and episode 5. The last one I did was reviewing episode 3 and 4. So, enough chatter, guys. Let's go right into this. I am loving The Last of Us at the minute. It's such an amazing TV show. I think Bella Ramsey, despite the fact she doesn't look like Ellie, is perfectly cast. I'm absolutely loving Pedro Pascal as Joel. So, episode 4, it starts with them on their camping trip where Joel says, let's stay the night. And I love the way that they've kept in, should I say, the bits in the game whenever Ellie has her wee joke book that she always tells Joel all the stupid jokes out of. And I think that was a really cool part of the episode because it was a callback to what she did in the first game, and the joke book was a part of them whenever they were travelling across the county, and Joel eventually got fed up with her shit at one point, and then we advance further into the story, and I love the callback that we had to episode 3, the Bill and Frank episode, whenever it shows Ellie using the gun for the first time and Joel in complete shock that she even has it in the first place, and basically telling Ellie that she should have never snuck that gun out of their house, and said, Ellie, go hide behind the wall. And Ellie, whenever she was pointing the gun at the guy, I believe he was one of the Fireflies or one of the Renegades, if you will, was trying to show remorse, whereas whenever Joel told her to get behind the wall because he didn't want her to see what was about to happen, he absolutely brutalised him, and I think that was a really cool episode. I really liked episode 4, and the episode ended, which I thought was really cool, with them down in a bunker, and it ended with them in a bunk bed, and Ellie was being held at gunpoint by Henry, so the episode ended with Sam and Henry, much like the game, which I thought was really, really cool. And going back, I forgot to mention the part, I really liked the bit in the episode where, rather than getting mad at Ellie for how to use a gun, he asked her has she ever used one before, and she admitted that she's needed to use it once before, but she never fully understood how to use a gun, and Joel, being the dad figure that he was, showing her how to use the gun. And I think that was a really cool, really heartfelt moment, which also tied back to them in the game. And then came episode 5, the Sam and Henry episode, which I thought was absolutely bloody brilliant. If you guys haven't seen it, you can watch it. It's on Sky Cinema. If you don't have Sky Cinema, it's on Now TV on the app. It debuted last Saturday on the 11th of February. Usually they debut on Sunday, but they didn't last Sunday. They aired it on the Friday night / Saturday morning, depending on where you live. And I thought it was a really, really good episode. So basically we got it a day early, day and a half early, depending on where you live, because of Super Bowl Sunday last weekend. And I really enjoyed this episode, guys. Sam and Henry, I loved them in the games. I wish their story lasted longer. I love the fact that they switched it up from the game, where in the show Sam was actually deaf. And interesting little tidbit here, Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal have actually said in recent interviews that all of the actors and actresses that acted with the actor for Sam on screen were actually taught sign language to communicate with him in the show, because he actually is deaf in real life. So I think that was a really cool bit of representation. And as many of you may know, the story of Sam and Henry, if you played the first game, was really heart-wrenching. And this was also our first appearance of the bloater whenever they were all held up hostage by the Fireflies, the Renegades, whatever you want to call them, at gunpoint. And I forget what the actress's name is. Please forgive me, but she was Charlie Sheen's stalker in Two and a Half Men. I think she was bloody brilliant in the show. I wish she lasted longer, but sadly, I believe this was only the only episode she was in, or going to be in, should I say. So this was our first appearance where all the zombies came up from underneath the ground, and that was our first appearance of the bloater. And I know Neil Druckmann is a massive part of this series because he also helped make the game. Of course, he was one of the main key factors of the game, is now transferred over to the show. I think the prosthetics and the CGI of all the monsters and everything in this show is phenomenal. I am loving it so far. And I love the fact that this episode ended with a heart-wrenching moment where we had Sam at the edge of the bed whenever Ellie went in and was trying to check on him to see what's wrong, and obviously with him being deaf, he didn't hear her coming, so whenever she tapped him on the shoulders, he ran towards him into the other room, and he leaped on top of her whenever Henry and Joel were sitting talking, and basically it ended the exact same way the game did. So if you haven't played the game, spoilers ahead. And for all you people who've watched the show but haven't played the game, please play the game, because the game is tells you a lot of stuff that the game doesn't. Or sorry, the game tells you a lot of stuff the show doesn't, and the show they've added a lot of extra things in, and to make it feel more lifelike. Like I've said in previous videos about the very first episode with Sarah, whenever they had her actually showing you getting Joel's watch fixed, that was never in the game. The game actually started with them on the sofa. The whole Bill and Frank thing, whenever they both died, that was never in the game. The game, Bill survived, and Frank died out getting supplies. He got bit and he ended up killing himself, because I believe he hung himself because he didn't want to end up Bill becoming infected. So they've added all these little extra things on into the show, which you can see actually makes a difference. And also, they had a scene which I really liked in this episode, whenever it's shown Sam and Ellie playing football, which was a very emotional moment for Joel, because it was a callback to his daughter Sarah, 'cause she actually played football and she was big into it. So it was like a callback to her about him watching his own daughter whenever he's watching Ellie, which I think is what a lot of the game entitles back to, is basically he's trying to make it, even though he's on a mission, he tries to treat Ellie as the daughter, as a being like a second daughter, if you will, which I think is a very beautiful yet heart-wrenching thing. So yeah, the episode ended. Sam got shot because they didn't want him to turn. Well, at this point, it already turned. They didn't want him to go out infecting everyone, and he got killed just like the game by Henry, of all people, his older brother. And basically, what happened was Henry took the gun to his head, pulled the trigger, blew his brains out. That's where the episode ended, whenever Joel and Ellie left. I also like the fact where in this episode it's shown a different perspective of where Sam and Henry were whenever Pedro and Ellie were in that building fighting off them people. It was like a different perspective, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, guys, all in all these episodes have all been hits, no misses so far. This episode is probably my favourite or this series is probably my favourite series I've watched in quite some time. I can't wait for more. I believe there's 9 episodes and we're about to come on to episode 6 this Sunday, so we've got about 3 more weeks of it left, and I can't wait to see how it all ties up. We've already been confirmed that a season 2 is coming out, which, if you've played The Last of Us Part 2, you know it's about to get really heart-wrenching. I'm not going to explain why. If you played the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go play the game and you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I've been the real Tony Stark. I hope my reviews help make up your mind somewhat on whether the show is worth watching or not. And yeah, I hope you find them informative. They help make up your decision whether you want to watch the show. All these little things I tell you that you might not have picked up on that the show does differently to the game. As always, guys, I'll be back. Hopefully sooner next week. I'll probably do a review of episode 6 at some point next week, and try to go back to making it a weekly thing again. So yeah, as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. I have been your host with the most, the real Tony Stark, signing out. Peace out.